Identifying your main goal in your social media presence can tie directly to your email list. Welcome back to the Authentic Online Marketing Show. I'm your host, Ruthie Gray. All month long, we've had a focus for writers and authors in the realm of online marketing and writing and email and social media, all the things. And so we bookended the middle episodes with my guest interview over at Kent Sanders of the Daily Writer podcast. The first episode being geared toward growing your author presence on Instagram. And this episode shares my advice to Kent when he asked me what his focus should be on his personal Instagram account versus his professional Daily Writer account. And it ties in directly with email, as you'll see from my advice to him. The reason that we're featuring these two short episodes in bookend style is because many times I find folks just don't finish a longer podcast episode. And these little nuggets from both of these two episodes that we have used in the month of March for the first episode and the last episode were toward the end of my guest interview with Kent. And today's is only 6 minutes long. Again, we're talking about tying in your goals on social media with email. So in this short snippet, Kent and I will discuss the details of getting email signups and focusing your Instagram toward your goal. While repurposing is an amazing tool, something I believe in personally here, as you can see, as we have repurposed Kent's podcast, we will see an example of when complementary posts are more beneficial, whether it's from a professional or personal brand, and the main message you have being clear. When Kent asks me this question, I go straight for what is your goal, which ties directly into the email subject at hand. And so if you are having trouble repurposing content and tying in your social media goals versus your email goals, you'll want to have this episode under your belt. And now, listen in.
Welcome to Authentic Online Marketing with Ruthie Gray. Growing awareness for your blog, podcast, book, or product involves more than dancing to reels and yelling, "Buy my thing." This show models quality over clamor so you can put your spin on your message and market in a way that feels authentic to you, because nobody wants to sound like an infomercial.
Let me ask about personal brands versus professional brands. Here's where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two things on Instagram. I have the Daily Writer, but I also have myself, Kent Sanders. And I'm a little bit confused about what I should be. I mean, I know what I should post on the Daily Writer. That should all be stuff related to the Daily Writer because that's its own entity. But should I repurpose that stuff on my own Instagram account, or should it be totally separate? Or how should I use both of those in the most effective way? Because they are distinct things on there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on what your goal is. If you want to drive traffic each to the other, then absolutely you cross post.
Okay.
And it sounds like that's what you're wanting, is you're wanting people to go to the Daily Writer.
Yes. My ultimate goal is I want to drive email signups. That's really what that's the most important thing to me is really email signups, because that's what I'm doing on the podcast too, is the email list is the main thing that I'm trying to grow.
I applaud you for that. And just a little aside here for everybody who thinks that I think Instagram is the end all be all. The end all be all is the email list. And so that's something that we also teach, is that you want to drive traffic effectively off of Instagram onto your email list. So yeah, I mean, I think it's good and worthy to cross post, but I do think it's also very important to talk about that email list and talk about it in your stories, in your feed, on your reels. Tell them what they get, because that's something that a lot of Instagrammers overlook, is talking about the newsletter. Every time I talk about my newsletter, I get signups. It's just got to be part of the habit.
Okay. This is like so helpful because it's such a fundamental thing, but I miss it all the time. So I'm really
You are not alone there. Many people say it's like a big revelation. And I even have to remind myself of that. I want to talk about it in every 6 to 9 posts and then weekly in my stories.
Well, I'm actually getting ready to redo all my email stuff. So right now I have this thing called the Daily Writer Starter Kit. I think it's 7 or 8 short ebooks on different topics for writers, but I'm actually going to be switching that out next month. I'm getting rid of that, and I'm just doing a free book called How to Build a Writing Habit, which is the main thing about what the Daily Writer is all about. So that'll be a short but full-length free book, free audiobook. I'll have a print version available for people who want to buy it. So I think that's a better value proposition than saying a starter kit, in my opinion, because it's a one single book that solves a real specific problem.
That is more the trend than ever. It used to be, give them an ebook and they will come. But the ebooks got bigger and bigger, and the people are overwhelmed with email already and all of their online tasks. So the best thing you can do is to create either that short ebook or just a checklist, something that solves a pain point right away. That will be so super valuable and simple that they're like, wow, if this is what they have to offer, just this short thing, I want more.
That's good. That's really good. Well, maybe along with that ebook, I should just have an intro checklist or something, because even if it's just like a 1-page checklist, people still get a lot of value out of that, for sure.
I think that would be fantastic.
So back to the professional versus personal brand, how much should I repost? Everything that I put on the Daily Writer, should I put on my personal one and just kind of treat them like duplicates? Or
I don't know if you want to post everything. Are the audiences that different?
No, not really.
Because you don't want to create too much work for yourself. Maybe you decide, the 3 pillars that you're going to have. Really, this is what you should be doing anyway, is what are your 3 main pillars you're going to talk about on each one. And then that way you won't overlap so much, but you will complement, maybe one of your pillars on your personal one is some of the struggles that you go through, like the seasonal affective and the struggles that, other writers go through. Maybe, just writer's cramp. Maybe that's your, one of yours, writer's struggles. I think that the pillars are something that you should gravitate to for each of those. I think that would be
That's
great.
really good.
To summarize this episode, define your goal and use your assets to help you achieve it. In this case, we know that email signups are the main goal. So utilizing Instagram through your feed, stories, and reels can direct your audience to your email. Talking about your newsletter on Instagram can move people to your email signup, and they can discover where your main focus is. Something that solves a pain point right away, like a short ebook or checklist, can show your audience what you have to offer, and they are left waiting for more. When it comes to your professional versus your personal brand, reflect on what your 3 main pillars are and stick to them. The goal is to complement, not overlap. Again, if you need more information on how to do this and all the other topics we talked about tying in Instagram, listen to the full episode on the Daily Writer podcast with Kent Sanders, Instagram Strategies for Authors. The link is in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening to the show today. If you enjoyed the show, please share with a writer friend or even your writer group so they can take advantage of the tips for writers and authors. An easy way to do this is to screenshot the show, share it in your Instagram stories or on Facebook, and tag me at Authentic Online Marketing Pod. As always, we appreciate you listening, and we would so appreciate your sharing that. Again, this wraps up Writers Month. Next month, we're going to start back in with shorter episodes geared toward online marketing, Instagram, email, all the things. Until next time, remember to share your message your way in your own authentic voice.